Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Jessica Sanders here of ColorMeCreativeArt.com. So today, let's swatch out all of Jane Davenport's colors, the Brights palette, Glitzy palette, and the Neutral palette, and let's compare and sort of contrast, I guess, and see what all of the colors are in each group of color. So I sort of made a chart, and what I want to do is group the colors together sort of in rainbow order by their color and by the palette. So I have the Brights palette, the Neutrals, the Glitzy, a section for each, and then I have a section for each color. But if you notice, there's not a lot of space, so what I'm going to do is use my small brush, and I'm going to make small swatches just so we can get an idea of all the colors that Jane has out and which set they're in. And then you can have maybe a better idea of any set that you would like to collect or buy. So what I want to do is, I think I'll switch back and forth between the palettes and just do color by color. That's my goal anyway. I don't know, I may miss something in the process, we'll see. But let's try it that way. I have 2 jars of water so I can make sure my brush is really clean because I really want nice clean color for this. I will start with the Brights and the pinks and reds, and I'll just start with the brightest pink she has, which I love, and it is called, let me just lay this here. Well, let's see, I'll put it here. It's called Best Friend, so I'm going to start with Best Friend, and I'm just going to make a little swatch. Watercolor. There we go. And next I will go to Fairy Tale. Oh, I forgot to clean my brush twice. I just did 1 jar, so let me do both jars. And I've pre-wet my paints to make this go a little bit faster. So let's see how this works out. I am using watercolor paper. Next is Frida, which is also a pink. So this palette has a lot of pinks and reds in it, and just leans toward purple, but I'm going to call it a pink. I think it's a pink, don't you? Magenta pink. And then we have also in this palette Ladybug, which is a less pink red color. Hopefully my colors aren't too contaminated here. So there's Ladybug. It's still a pinky red, so everything here is very cool. All those reds are cool. Okay, now I'm going to set this aside, go to the Neutrals palette, and let's see what pinks and reds we have in here. So we just have 1 pink, and it is Apple. It looks pink on the swatch card, but I think it looks a little bit more red than that. Yeah, it's more red than it looks like on the swatch card. Okay, so that's a little less pinky, a little less cool, a little more neutral red, and that's the only one on this palette, on the Neutral palette, and I put it in the wrong spot. Did you see that? What can I do? Sorry guys, this happens sometimes, you know. So I'm gonna pick that one up because that one does not belong in this palette, and I don't know if I can completely pick it up. This is not cotton paper, this is any practice paper, but I think that's good enough, right? Okay. So let me go back and get Apple again, and this time put it in the correct palette, in the Neutrals palette. So we have 1 red or pink in the Neutrals palette right there. This color. Okay, next is Glitzy. So let's see what we have in the Glitzy palette. We have Ariel, and I think that's the only one. I actually really love Ariel. Beautiful, beautiful. Makes some really beautiful color and mixes. So there is Ariel, which is still kind of a little bit of a cool red. There we go. So that's all of the reds. So while we're here, let's continue with the oranges. And now I'm going to go ahead and put Flirtatious in the oranges section, but it actually is a metallic, but it reads sort of orangish brown, so I'm going to put it there. You may want to put it in a different section, but that's just what I'm going to do. And So you see that. It's almost like a flesh tone metallic right there. Pretty cool looking. And then the other orange that I see is Frolicsome. So let's get that. Sort of a burnt orange looking color. There we go. So that's in the Glitzy palette. Those oranges. We'll go back to the neutrals now. And so we have Vitamin C, and also I'll put Kiss Kiss in the orange category. Vitamin C is very bright, sort of, I don't know, very pumpkin-y, I guess, a pumpkin orange. And then Kiss Kiss is a more warm, sort of deeper kind of orange. Another color that I like. It's a great lip color, right? Which I think is a lot of the point of the neutrals palette, is for a lot of faces and things. And I think that I will put this buff in the neutrals category. So I think that's all for that palette. Let's go to the brights. And let's look for orange. Oh, there is none. There's no orange in the brights palette. Pinks, red, no orange. Okay, we'll continue with yellows then. Okay, yellows in the brights palette. Pick up a little bit of that. Buzzy. Buzzy. There we go. That's the only yellow in the brights palette. Next is this Glitzy. Next is the neutrals. So I'm going to put Mango and Sand in the neutrals. Mango. A much warmer yellow than Buzzy. And then Sand. Sort of a Naples yellow, which I may be taking that from my acrylic background, but it looks like a Naples yellow to me. And then for the Glitzy, we have Tresses, which to me has just a little bit of a hint of green anyway, but there we go. It's a really bright yellow. And we will do Alchemy, because that is sort of a golden yellow, and it is a metallic, just like Flirtatious is a metallic. There we go. Okay, we will continue here with greens. Now, everyone's talked about how many greens are in Glitzy. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 greens. So we're just going to go down the line and try each one. They're all a little bit different. Some are warmer, some are cooler. Okay, I believe this is Water Sprite right here. This one is somehow, I got it out of order. But let's go with it. Okay. Yes, that's Water Sprite. Add a little bit of water there too. Let it move a little. There we go. And then next is Sylph. This is Sylph. Let's go down the line here. Enchantress. I love the names that Jane has. They're so fun. So Enchantress. I think seeing these next to each other also helps to see the differences. There's sometimes subtle differences, but they can make a difference when you're painting. So this is Lorelei. And then the last green in the Glitzy palette is Sea Mist, which is a lighter, brighter green. Okay. Now let's look in the neutrals. No greens. No greens in the neutrals. Okay. And then in the brights palette, we have 2 greens. We have Mermaid. which is a blue-green. Oh, because I'm working up, I put that in the wrong spot, but that's okay. We'll know what color it is. We'll easily be able to tell the difference. So we have Mermaid, and then we have Jiminy, which is a nice lime green. I love my Brights palette. It's like the most used of all of mine. That paint's a little bit opaque, but it's a nice yellow-green, lime green. Okay, those are all the greens. I'm going to slide over a little bit to make a little bit more room here. So blues, let's go on to the blues. We have Butterfly in our Brights palette. Like I said, this is my most used palette. If you can see how much I have used this. I've used it so much. So, my favorites. So blues. That's Butterfly. And then 70s eyeshadow. So if you're bored with watching me and you want to speed this up, just turn on some music, speed it up. That's okay with me. You won't hurt my feelings. I just kind of wanted to talk through it and sort of share my thoughts along the way, I guess. But if you prefer to speed it up, hey, be my guest. So in the neutrals palette, we have Blueberry. Blueberry right there, which is sort of an ultramarine blue. It's got that purple tone. For the Glitzy palette, we have two blues, which are, I think, very similar in color, but their value is different. The Nereid, which is what I'm about to paint right now, is much darker. More of a, to me, it's a Prussian blue. And then Sea-Nymph, it feels like the same color of blue almost, except a little bit brighter. So it's a neutral blue, but it's just brighter than Nereid. So it's like just a slight difference. I love these two together. Oh my gosh, they're so fabulous. Okay, let's go on to the purples. On to the purples. So we have two purples. Oh, you know what? I missed a blue. I missed ink. Ink is most definitely a blue. It's a really dark blue. So let me put that there. It may look black, but watch this. When I add water and pull it out there, it's definitely a blue. Okay, let's move on to purples then. We have Mystic. Mystic right there. And we have Royal. One's a little warmer, one's a little cooler. Then for the neutral palette, there are no purples. And then for Glitzy Palette, there are no purples. So the only palette that has purples in it is the Brights palette. However, of course, you can mix purple with red and blue. So you get different kinds of purples if you mix the red and blue. One of my favorite mixes in the Glitzy palette is to mix Ariel and Nereid. Like, you get the deepest, most luscious. You've seen it in my galaxies if you have watched those. Okay, let's move on to the last category, which are browns and neutrals. I touched my paint, sorry. Okay, so there are no browns and neutrals except perhaps ink. You might call it leans toward neutral in the Brights palette. In the neutrals palette, obviously there are neutrals. So what have we not painted? We have not painted Dave, which is gray. I'm not going to paint white. There's Dave. White won't show up. There's no point. There's Raven, which is black. Nice black. And there is Spice. Did I include Buff already? No, I did not include Buff. I decided I would call that Buff a neutral. This may be the wrong category for this. I'm putting those in the wrong spot. Guys, how could you let me do that? Obviously, it's not your fault. But let me go back and fix it here. Mistake number 2, right? If those are the only two mistakes I make, I'm doing pretty good. Okay, next is Spice, which is a brown, a yellowy brown, but still it's fairly neutral, which I guess is why it's in the neutral palette, right? And then we have Cocoa, which is a dark brown. There we go. And then for our Glitzy palette, I put Flirtatious in the orange. I put Alchemy here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 colors. So no really neutrals there or there. The neutrals are all in the neutral palette, which, you know, it makes sense. Okay, so here are all of Jane's palettes. Let's take a look. Let's see. Now I will go back and label each name on here. Let's just take a look. So in the Brights palette, there are lots of pinks and reds, a lot of blues, and a few other colors. And then you can make it orange with any of these pinks and reds and the yellow to make an orange. Made orange plenty of times. You can also make a neutral skin tone if you need to. And then here's the neutrals palette, which I believe is geared toward painting faces more than anything. And these red, orange, yellow, and blue are very neutral colors of red, orange, yellow, and blue. They don't really lean to the warm or cool side very much at all. And then, of course, these are neutrals. And you have a couple of oranges. I think, you know, for lips and things, that's kind of why these are more included. And then the Glitzy palette is, you know, mermaids and undersea. And so it has a really strong focus on green, you can see. But it does have red, yellow, and blue, so you can mix any color you want. And it has a couple of blues and it has the yellow. So you can make really nice paintings with any of them. It really depends on what you like to do. If you notice, all of these greens are different from these two greens. I'm looking back and forth now. If you could see me, my head is going up and down. I'm going, are these greens, are any of these greens the same? And my answer is no. So this green is close to this green. These two greens are close to each other. This one is a little bit more blue, and this is more of the lime green. So these greens are not the same. And then are these blues, any of these blues the same? No, they're not. They're all different tones. This one is more ultramarine. These are, I feel like these are the most neutral blues in the whole palette. All three palettes, this is the most neutral blue. This is an ultramarine. It's used a lot to mix with watercolor, so it's perfectly fine to have in the neutral palette to go with the red and yellow to make the mixes that you want. But it's got a little bit more purple in it, a little bit more red in it, I should say, than these blues. So, most neutral here. Obviously, the brights are the brightest. And then, let's see, otherwise, these are the most neutral I see. This is fairly warm yellow, though, and this is a cool. These are all different yellows. Are all of these different? Because there are a lot of pinks and reds in the first palette. These are very cool. And this is neutral, and this is fairly neutral but deeper, a little bit more orangey even than this red is. I'm not sure all of this shows up on camera very accurately, so that's one reason why I'm describing. Now I do see that this orange, which I believe is Kiss Kiss, let's look in the neutral palette. Yes, this Kiss Kiss is very similar in color to Flirtatious, to this orange, which is Frolicsome. These are really very similar. But I think that you could just get a deeper color with Frolicsome. These are the most two alike colors in all of the palette. This color and this color. Extremely similar. I'm squinting at them now to see if I can determine a difference in value. They're really similar. I don't know if they're made with the same pigments or not. Jane does have all that information on her website. And of course this is a metallic. You can't see that without me tilting. Let's see if we can see the metallic. You can see the metallic here. I may not have mixed this enough to be able to see the metallic. Or at least I can see it. I hope that you can. Okay. So that's swatching all of Jane's colors that she came out with last year. It took me a long time to do it. I apologize for the wait, but I hope that you find this helpful and that you'll try it out yourself and let me know how it goes. There are lots of beautiful colors here, and I was just really happy to have these watercolors. My favorite is the Brights palette, but I have been using the other palettes as well. My least used palette is, I think it's the neutrals. Of course, Glitzy, let me pull them out. So the one I use the most is obviously the Brights. It's even, you can see these blues are more staining than the others. And then aside from that, I have been using, I think I've used these pretty much equally, but since I've been painting galaxies, I've been using the Glitzy palette more than the neutrals palette. So this one is really geared toward painting faces, and it's really pretty. And it's yummy. And they're all yummy, okay? So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found it helpful. Let me know what you think about all of Jane's different palettes, and I would love to chat with you in the comments below. And please, if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe and hit the bell if you want to know when my videos will be coming out. I try and put out helpful, instructive videos that give you good tips and show you maybe something that hopefully you haven't seen before, or you haven't seen it in the same way. And so I love to hear from you. So thank you so much, and you have a great week. Bye-bye.